You know what's really scary? The dark.
Yeah, but
Leaving the stove on when you're on vacation? A haunted house? Spooky noises? Taxes? Frogs? Choking on a spoon?
death?
The current state of gun
snakes?
safety?
Taxes?
Where we go when we die? The current
Video game
scissors?
stop.
Yes, those are scary. Thank you. But for me, as a recovering people pleaser, nothing was scarier than saying no. Because see, the thought of telling somebody no, it's like the worst feeling in the entire world. Your chest feels tight, your brain starts to go into hyper panic mode, and all of your emotions are acting on a hair trigger, as if you're just waiting for a monster to pop out and eat you. I don't know. But see, the truth is, for me and for many other recovering people pleasers in this world, that monster was born a very long time ago. As a kid, I always learned to be extremely hypervigilant. This was a normal part of how life functioned for me, and I genuinely believe that this is what every kid experienced. I realized that my hypervigilance was not a normal mode of living. Instead, it was a coping mechanism that my little self learned to use as a way to keep herself safe. In doing all this, I thought I was being considerate, that I was being a good girl. But what actually happened was I was making myself feel small, minimizing my own needs because I was afraid to be my true self and express my feelings for fear of retribution. So these patterns developed, my mental monsters, if you will, persisted and stayed with me as I entered into adulthood, making appearances through my struggles as a mother of 2 little kids and as a professional artist. Unlike the kid version of myself that thought I wasn't worthy of love until I proved my worth, the adult version of me is allowing myself to see the truth and to let that monster go. I took baby steps. I started to set some boundaries. I went into the very scary territory of saying no. It is the most terrifying thing I've ever had to do in my life. I think growing up, you start to realize that the adult you is the person that little you wants. And it is now up to you as older person, adult person, to carry that inner child, to heal, and to move on forward. Because ultimately, we can't live with trauma all our lives. It's just not healthy. Have to find ways to move forward so that I can live a healthy, fulfilled, joyful life. It's not easy. And I fail many, many times, but we're getting there. I do want to make a note here that I love the people in my life, and I'm recognizing, as many do, as they grow up and as they reach adulthood, they start to see their loved ones not as these all-knowing beings, but as people who make mistakes. They are also trying to figure life out one step at a time. They're working with their own frameworks that may be flawed as well. So I don't want this to be a criticism or a woe is me type of situation. I think this is just my way of reconciling the past, moving forward in a peaceful manner, and being okay and accepting the fact that what happened is in the past. What's important is what I do moving forward with the knowledge that I know, because I am responsible for my own actions, my own emotions, and my own feelings. Which led me to discover that I never was, nor am I ever responsible for someone else's emotions or their happiness. And I read something recently that made this all kind of make sense for me. The sense of hypervigilance is a really key part of the fawn response, where we're constantly hyper aware of what's happening externally, monitoring your parents' moods. Are they happy? Did I upset them? When this is happening again and again and again and again, we learn that people's moods are my responsibility. It's my responsibility to keep people happy. And that's really heavy. But that explains so much. When you grow up feeling like other people's emotions are your job and your responsibility, it totally makes sense why saying no feels utterly terrifying. It's not just a word, it almost feels like saying no is like an act of betrayal to that other person. Like, how dare you say no to me? And in a way, when you don't say no, you do let those inner monsters win. What's important to remember is those monsters are not real. They're shadows from the past that need to be vanquished with love and understanding. And the ultimate truth is you don't have to carry people's happiness anymore. It's not your job. You can't make that your job. You can't control how other people feel. You can't control or manipulate your way through a situation to appear favorable to the other person, at least not as your default mode. It's just not a way to live a more authentically value-filled, purposeful life. You don't have to perform to prove that you are worthy, to make yourself smaller, to help others feel big. You don't have to scan a room for hidden dangers anymore. And one thing I remembered, especially going through therapy and kind of unlocking a lot of things that I was personally struggling with in people-pleasing, was feeling like I was not useful. When I would hear my husband coming home after work, if I just so happened to be sitting on the couch taking a break, I would feel an extreme guilt for just sitting on the couch and taking a break after he walks into the door. And I'm realizing that this kind of was a latent traumatic response that I developed in childhood, because if I wasn't doing something, in essence proving my worth or not being useful, it would not bode well for me. And now as a grown-up, I'm coming to realize that having that response was definitely a knee-jerk trigger. I don't need to prove my worth. I don't need to prove to somebody else that I am useful, because I am worthy already, just because I am here on this earth. I'm also not here to make myself smaller to help others feel bigger. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to set boundaries. I am allowed to choose myself. And again, I'm saying this as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as a woman. I'm allowed. I am, I said, to no one there. And I encourage you to do the same, because every time you do, the monsters shrink and become nothing more than a trick of the light. And so the next time we feel that old panic rise up when we want to say no, remember, it's not our job to keep everyone happy. The monsters might look scary, but you're stronger. Choose yourself first, always. And while we're speaking of monsters, I have a special announcement to make. While I was in my studio, I uncovered a bunch of old Halloween paintings that I have done from previous Halloweens on this channel, and I finally decided that we're gonna put them up for sale, and I'm gonna call it the Great Halloween Art Sale. I have a ton of these paintings ranging from $10 to $25. I want them to go to loving homes, and it's also a raffle. For every one painting that you buy, that gives you one entry into a raffle to win my mixed media painting, Cara Mia, my painting rendition of Morticia Addams, the gothic queen of boundaries and self-love herself from the Addams Family movie. If you want to get your hands on some fun Halloween art, as well as enter into a chance to win an original mixed media painting from me, please be sure to visit the link in my description below, or just go to my website, rinaldiart.com, in order to enter and to get some really cool paintings. So with that being said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!